biggest brand piece is this. It's your elevator pitch. How do you actually introduce yourself to people about who you are, what you do, and most importantly, how you do it and how you add value when you do it? Every single piece of asset that you have, your headshot, your LinkedIn, your resume, your email signature, all your social media, all of that, and how you show up is curated. It's the museum of you. If you're not on this scale at all, I think that you shouldn't be in the space. You should always be able to bring some part of who you are until you get more comfortable, until you have a better understanding of what is expected and what the culture is, so you can decide how to add your perspective to the culture and then show up authentically. But remember, every individual within any place shapes the culture. So you showing up in, I'll give an example, I don't know, big hoop earrings, and if everyone else doesn't wear those things, that will start to shift the culture because you're doing it and you're already with excellence. You will already are taking and accepting feedback. You're already doing the other things so that your authenticity is accepted more because you're doing the baseline pieces that are already accepted. Finally, another core piece of your branding is your network. It's your squad, your homies, who you hang out with and who connects to you and who you're connected with is a big part of your brand. And so you're thinking about the fact that you're all sitting here in affinity groups. That's a part of your brand. Also, the people within your work group or your practice group are a part of your network and your brand as well. Again, these are core components. There are other things that go into what your brand is, but I wanted to level set in these things as a part of how we show up and people perceive our brands. And then, of course, my business tagline, engage your hustle. And it doesn't mean that we in hustle culture. It means that wherever we are, whatever that next step is, we can reach for it. We can say we want to do better. And that might mean for us to engage our hustle, we need to take a nap, right? It is understanding whatever you need to do to get to whatever your next level is. That's engaging your hustle. Just because you say it and you have the goal doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get it, but it does mean that you are setting the universe towards that thing. So say the school, say the one you want. Don't be scared. This is where the fear comes in sometimes.
I got a message today. Hi, Paula, hope you're well. I left insert firm here last year, but still following your good work. A former colleague who was very active in our DEI work connected with me recently and is now looking for a job. I sent them your profile as a connection, blank name. She's knowledgeable and talented and just a fun, high energy person. You never know, are you open to connecting? So this person reached out to me on behalf of someone else to say, right, I think you should connect, rather than the person being like, hi, because I don't know the person. So now I'm going to accept it because I know there's a hand-holding thing that happens there. So that's important.
I don't think I've ever had a problem asking. If my dad listens to this, he's probably gonna ask your entire life, you've been asking for what you want. Whether I got it or not, that's a whole different story. But women don't ask enough. I think we should over ask. I think we should just ask because we can. Inclusive communication allows us to use one element of the workplace environment, communication, to create a culture of inclusion. This means that we are using communication, a way of exchanging information in a way that allows everyone, no matter their background, to feel as if they belong. Now, that's a high standard, right, of everyone. But what I want to impart upon you is that this is our mission, right? This is the vision for it and what we're always constantly working for, but it requires us to continue to navigate. Right? More people come into our interaction with there's clients, it's in the courtroom, it's at a bar association event. We are navigating and learning as we interact with people who are different from us. Language, it is constantly evolving. It's dynamic, right? We learn new terms every single day. We also understand as we educate ourselves and we grow that some things in our language is no longer what we should be using. I love to focus on unconscious bias because it's something that we all are impacted by in our conversation and how we interact or not interact with folks when we are navigating spaces where we are responding or saying things out of sometimes really good intent, but in not as great impact. What is intersectionality? Why is it important? It's the fact that we don't just have one identity lens. Our lens is informed by all of our different identities, and those identities change, right? As we get older, our lens and intersectionality changes. Everything that you do. Okay, we want to do a program. Let's think about the intersectionality. Let's think about our membership and who we want our proposed members to be, and how would that land? If you even ask yourself, whose voice is missing from this? And again, you can't answer the call for everyone, but you can try your best to be as inclusive as possible versus just doing what you've always done, or maybe not so much thinking about other groups other than your own identities or identities of the leaders.
The hard part about any conversation or any topic that has very strong opinions is that we are going into it with often like, this is my opinion, this is the thing that is correct. I found that when I hear a little bit more about folks' stance and then where it came from, it allows us to find a common ground, even if we're not necessarily in agreement, but a common ground. None of this is easy or everybody would do it. It is deciding whether this is who you are and this is who you want the organization and your culture to be, and then deciding whether to step up. And oftentimes it means not maybe doing it in real time, but doing it later in order to navigate that. But it depends. It's very much not a one size fit all, but I think the tension is not instead of those things. The tension is whether we want to use our capital, whether that's relational or positional, et cetera, to speak up on behalf of someone. And that's what allyship is. And it requires work. That's why it's hard, but necessary. All right, let's get into it. Tell me what personal brand means to you. How do you define it?
Yeah, I define it as sort of how you present yourself, and it's a reflection of your values. Pretty much, what do you want to be known for?
For me, it is really my public identity. It's my image, my story, how I show up in the world. And if I'm doing it right, my personal identity is in harmony with the public one.
But your personal brand should align with your values, who you are as a person, your core values. And so if you in real life are persistent, if you are resilient, if you are confident, that should come through in your personal brand.
So I think a brand is not static. I see it as always evolving. And I think when people think about a brand, they think static. And that's not from a personal perspective. I don't think that's exactly the best thing to do. So as you evolve, so does your brand.
Well, I think a personal brand is not just what we think it is, if you will. It's about how people see us, right? Mm-hmm. So if you think about that great woman, Maya Angelou, she says, people will forget what you say, but they will never forget how you make them feel. And I'd like to think our brand is how we make people feel.
Yes.
And what happens is we're not always aware of how we make them feel.
Branding really is your straight with no chaser, whatever that might mean to you. And for me, branding is all about who you want people to see and the experience that you want people to walk away from. And authenticity also leads to intentionality when we're creating our brands.